But thank you, Madam Chair Lady, and thanks to the ministers for their answers and their clarifications. And ministers, I am looking forward to, based on this budget, the next steps for this government to take, and that will show specific vision of this government where the different items are concerned. I look forward by the COM responding to some of the queries and suggestions that have been made. But not only that, that is the responsibility of the Council of Ministers, but also in Parliament, because say what you may, for as long as it has taken, some of the jabs here and there as the discussions in Parliament were taking place. But I think across the board, from all members of Parliament, there have been consistent concerns raised in several areas. And in those areas, I believe is the responsibility of the Parliament, starting with the committees of Parliament, to initiate action to come to, along with the COM eventually, to solutions to these issues that have been raised. Just off the top of my head, I could mention things like addiction in our country, addictions in our country, the cleanliness of our island, the environment in general, and I could mention more. Not often, we do it sometimes, but not often do we get the opportunity as members of Parliament of all of the factions to sit outside of a formal meeting of Parliament and have a discussion about the issues that are affecting our population. I have been able to have those discussions, especially when not on the island of St. Martin, with several, if not all, of my colleagues in Parliament. And in those circumstances, I feel even more confident about this Parliament reaching some solutions in the areas that we all consider important for St. Martin. So as the chairperson of Parliament, I will continue the initiatives in Parliament to, one, establish topical committees in Parliament, separate from the ministerial committees, so to speak, to deal with the different issues of importance, the environment, climate change, crime, etc., etc. So again, ministers, I want to thank you for what you have presented thus far, and also some of the intentions that you have expressed. And starting with the Minister of Finance, therefore, I just want to run down some issues with you, because as a member of the coalition supporting the government, I don't have to put everything that I would want to make known to the government in a motion. I can call your ministry, I can call you, and express whether they be concerns, proposals, ideas, whatever. But so you're not going to get a motion from me on everything that we have discussed. I am relying on the government ministers to follow up and follow through with some of the things that, based on queries in Parliament, based on concerns in Parliament, are to be carried out. So I just want to run down some things that have been alluded to, agreed to, in addition to the formal list of commitments made by the government that would come from the Parliament in order for us to follow up on certain issues. I want to ask the Minister of Finance, we have received and they will come up for voting in the voting process. We have received 3 notes of amendment from the government of St. Martin regarding the budget. And I would just like, in responding in this round that the minister gives just a synopsis on what those changes mean. And I am heading in a certain direction with this question, and it relates to an amendment by one of my colleagues with respect to the support staff for Parliament. So I want to know what is, in other words, the final outcome of the amendments. If the minister could just run that down. Again, we have them, all of the listing from this item to that item, the increase of the expenditures and also the increase of the income. But if the minister could just give that, provide that, please. Then go over to a second motion, and this one is a motion by myself, and it regards an ongoing discussion and an item that I feel very passionate about, and that is that we make use of the possibility granted in the law enforcement, administrative enforcement, bestuurlijke handhaving, and that we try to equip our ministries with the tools to execute this law. It is a framework law, and that is to be put into effect, can be put into effect per ministry, per ordinance, per different parts of a ministry, etc., etc. And so I want to use an item again that was a sort of a red thread throughout the parliamentary discussions, and that is the cleanliness of our island. And so the motion reads as follows. Considering the communal outrage regarding the cleanliness of the island, the parliamentary discussions during the Budget 2025 debate, the concerns with respect to the overall waste collection on the island and lack of equipment such as garbage bins, the unacceptable scenes experienced by all residents with respect to the indiscriminate dumping of waste all over the island, the brazenness with which some residents show total disregard for the laws of the land in the assumption that there are no consequences for asocial and illegal behavior. The adoption of the Ordinance on Administrative Enforcement, bestuurlijke handhaving, by the Parliament of St. Martin in the year 2018. The entering into force of this law for the Ministry of VROMI in 2022. The administrative enforcement rules empowers an administrative body to sanction illegal and lawless behavior. The framework law of 2018 establishes very clear guidelines for an administrative body to enforce the law, with built-in checks and balances to prevent an administrative body from overreaching. That there is a waste ordinance for the country of St. Martin, that the framework law of 2018 also allows its application to a specific ordinance, resolves to urge the government of St. Martin to declare administrative enforcement applicable to the waste ordinance of St. Martin. 2, as a matter of urgency, establish the inspection authority, toezichthouder as mentioned in the law, for this matter as established in the Framework Law Administrative Enforcement 2018, to be presented to Parliament within 60 days. To work with waste collection contractors, relevant foundations and stakeholders to make this inspection authority a reality soonest. To establish a budget for the execution of this motion and propose, if necessary, a budgetary amendment to Parliament within 30 days that would include revenue from the enforcement of this law by employing fines, and to start a sensitization program for the enforcement by widely publicizing the waste ordinance and setting up provisional inspection points using modern technology such as drones and cameras to capture offenders. And it goes over to the order of the day. This motion is signed by me, the submitter, by MP Viren Kotai, MP Veronica Jansen-Webster, MP Dimar Labega, and MP Chris Waver. And MP La Cruz, Francisco La Cruz. And he is an MP Franklin Myers.
And we will go over to the last motion, being motion number 9. Does anyone wish to vote hoofdelijke stemming on this last motion, number 9? That does not seem to be the case. The motion is accepted unanimously. Motion number 9 is accepted unanimously.